Hi there, and welcome to Easy Mind, Easy Life. So, the second thing that popped up, a second memory that I had today, talking about being a seeker of the truth, right? There was two moments in my childhood. The first one, I was 4 years old, right? And in my home, there were three subjects that we did not talk about. The first one was money, right? Money was not something that you discussed with children. It just wasn't talked about, right? Money. That's an adult subject. The second one was sex, right? We weren't allowed to discuss anything to do with, sex. The third one was death. It was never talked about in our home, right? There was such a fear of death in my house that we never ever talked about it. And I remember being 4 years old, and one day I'm just lying in my bed. I have this vivid memory, and I just held my breath, and I just lay there really quietly. I was just waiting, right? Waiting. What happens when you die? What happens, right? And as I'm holding my breath, and I probably would have passed out, who knows, but my mum walks in the room, right? And I was so engrossed in this, what happens when you die, that I didn't hear her come in to my room. And I wasn't breathing, remember? I was holding my breath. And she started screaming. She completely freaked out, right? As any mother would. And then I opened my eyes and I was like, what? And she said, what's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? What are you doing? And I said, doing nothing. I said, I was holding my breath. And she said, what for? And I said, I wanted to know what happens when you die. And she completely freaked out that I said that, I mean, what kind of 4-year-old comes up with this stuff? Right? So I was curious. I wanted to know what happens, right? And the second time that this subject came up in my life was when my grandmother died. And I was 11 at the time, because when she came to Australia, I was 9. And by the time I was 11, she passed away. She'd only been here for 2 years. And I remember thinking, but I want to go to the funeral. I want to see her. What does it look like when you're dead? What does it mean? Will I have this massive revelation, of what death is all about? What is it? What happens? I had a feeling, a knowing about death way before I even knew anything about it, right? But I felt ripped off, that I wasn't even asked if I wanted to go to my grandmother's funeral. They didn't even ask me. I was just completely dismissed as, no, children are not allowed, right? And that was it. Children are not allowed. That was it. And, yeah, but there was always this curiosity. What happens when we die? What happens when we die? Where do we go? What happens? And so now, at this age and through all the experiences I've been through, I've come, I'm at peace with the concept of death. It's not something that haunts me of, what is it? This curiosity of wanting to know what happens. What really happens when we go to the other side, It's all quite beautiful. But yeah, from the youngest age, I already had this incredible curiosity for all the answers to life. What happens? What are we doing here? What is this all about? And yeah, that one about death has always been a funny one. And I grew up with, especially after my grandmother died, there was an intense, incredible fear of death in my home with my parents. Now that I think of it, I realize it's to do with my mum, because she lost her parents at the age of 5. That's the fear. After my grandmother died, I spent a good year. Well, there were 2 things that were happening. First, yeah, my grandmother died. But more importantly, I'd been sent to this Catholic school. And at that age, you're still quite impressionable. You're only little, and they're constantly talking to you about the devil and that he's going to take your soul. And listening to them, it was pretty much impossible that you were ever going to get into heaven, because you couldn't be perfect enough to ever get into heaven, right? So you were going to end up going to hell with the devil, and that's all we got, day in and day out. The devil, the devil, the devil. And I think I'd been at the school for like 2 months, and I would wake up crying because I just didn't want to go there. And I would go to bed crying, just thinking I have to go back there tomorrow, right? The only time I wouldn't cry was the weekends. But then my grandmother died, and all of a sudden there was a new fear. What if my parents both died, right? And I'm only 11. I'm not old enough to take care of the two of us, right? Me and my sister. So what would happen to us, right, if we didn't have them? What would our lives be like? There was this new fear of, I was going to lose them as well, So then I had the two fears. I don't want to go back to that school, and I don't want you guys to die, It was like, it was a crazy year, to say the least. It was really crazy. But yes, I think that intense fear of death at home had to do with my mum losing both her parents at such a young age, I felt like there was this intense, I had to do something when my daughter was born, and she was, I think it was 3 years old. And I was thinking to myself, what if I die when she's 5? You start to think all these things. What if I die when she's 5? What happens? And she's left, I don't know, she's got my husband. I wasn't thinking we were both going. I was thinking, I'm going. But she won't remember me, and she may end up with this anger, like so many people do, that your mum left you, she abandoned you, when you needed her the most. And it's not the intention, because, I don't have a choice when it's my time to go. It just is my time to go. So like everyone else, when your number's up, your number's up. It's time to go. That's it. So, yeah, I remember when she was 3, I thought, I have to start. I had done that self-esteem course, and my husband had asked me that question. I thought, this is what I'm going to do for her. And I started writing down every single memory, and all my thoughts about it. And I just wanted her, actually, Your Past is a Gift started off as a book for her, so that she would know her mother. If anything ever happened to me, she would always have me with her, And then I started making the videos with the same intention. 5 years ago, I thought, well, at least she has me here, and she can occasionally play a video and, there's mum, if she misses me or whatever, But, yeah, it's funny how life creates all these different dynamics in a home. That fear of death. I always wondered, what was that all about? And just now talking to you, I realized, that's what it was, That's what the incredible fear was. But I couldn't understand it because I had them. I still have them. They're still alive now, Almost. My dad's turning 80 this year, so yeah, isn't that incredible? I just had another awareness, another level of awareness. And there was something coming up in this video. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and just leave you with thoughts of, is there an intense fear in your life at the moment? And just sit with it and try and find, where did that come from? What does it stem from? Where's the origin? Was it mine? Was it passed down? Like mine was passed down by my mum. Although I never had a fear of death. I had a curiosity of it. There's a difference. But in my home, there was always this underlying intense fear of death. And so many things were avoided because, it could end up in death or some tragedy. So I think about it now and I think it's funny. Now that I've got a better idea of, what life really is. But, yeah, what are you, is there an underlying fear? And where did that come from? Just sit with yourself today and have a think about that. All right, my darlings, I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.